Willie James Pye, who killed his former girlfriend 3 decades ago, was put to death in March in Georgia's first execution in over 4 years. Pye was born on January 6, 1965. He had at least 6 siblings, including 2 elder brothers. It is said that he was abused and neglected as a child, and that some of his family had a history of alcohol misuse. Due to her husband's periods of incarceration, Pye's mother, who was the family's only provider, had to work between 10 and 12 hours a day, leaving her small children unattended and on their own. Pye dropped out of junior high school due to what was said to be poor academic performance. He was later found to have an IQ of 68, which is lower than the average intelligence of 70. In 1985, Pye was also charged with burglary at the age of 20. He was found guilty and given a 5-year jail sentence. He was freed in 1990. Pye and 21-year-old Alicia Lynn Yarbrough had a romantic relationship that had come and gone, but at the time of the murder, on November 17, 1993, Miss Yarbrough was living with Charles Paquette. Pye, along with 2 friends, 25-year-old Chester Adams and 15-year-old Anthony Freeman, made plans to rob Paquette after learning that he had recently received money from a litigation settlement. In addition, Pye took exception to Paquette's signature on a child's birth certificate, which Pye claimed was his own. The 3 men got into Adams's car and proceeded to Griffin, where Pye made a street purchase of a big, eye-catching .22 pistol. After that, they went to a party where Pye was seen by a witness holding the large .22. The 3 departed the gathering just before midnight and headed in the direction of Paquette's house. Witnesses heard Pye say, "It's time, let's do it," as they were heading out. Pye brought in some ski masks, which the men all put on, and Pye and Adams also put on gloves. Walking up to Paquette's house, they saw that only Miss Yarbrough and her infant were inside. When she noticed Pye attempting to open a window, she yelled. After sprinting towards the front door, Pye kicked it open and threatened Miss Yarbrough with a revolver. They removed the ring and the necklace from Miss Yarbrough and took her, leaving the infant in the house after realizing there was no money inside. The 2 traveled to a local motel where Pye rented a room under a false name. The 3 males held Miss Yarbrough at gunpoint while essaying her in the motel room. Miss Yarbrough infuriated Pye, who yelled, "You let Paquette sign my baby's birth certificate." Following their attempt to remove their fingerprints from the motel room, Miss Yarbrough and the 3 guys departed in Adams's vehicle. Adams turned onto a dusty road after Pye whispered in his ear. Subsequently, Pye commanded Miss Yarbrough to exit the vehicle, forced her to lie face down, and fatally shot her 3 times. Pye threw the .22, the masks, and the gloves from the car as they drove off. Before we continue, please hit that subscribe button. It really does help my channel, and it's a great way to support me. The items were later found by the police, who also discovered the victim's body a few hours after her death. A ballistics specialist concluded that there was a 90% chance that a bullet discovered in the victim's body had been shot by the .22 after a hair found on one of the masks matched the victim's hair. The victim's body contained genetic material, and samples of it matched Pye's DNA. He claimed he hadn't seen the victim in at least 2 weeks when he spoke with the police later that day. 15-year-old Freeman, however, confessed and decided to testify for the state. On March 20th, Pye became the first person to be executed by the state of Georgia since January of 2020. The defense team for Pye contended that the trial counsel did not sufficiently probe Pye's life, background, physical, and psychiatric health in order to keep the jury from hearing mitigating evidence when Pye was sentenced. Evidence of poverty, abuse, and neglect throughout his early years was put forth by them. Additionally, they maintained that he had impairments to his capacity to plan ahead and regulate his impulses due to frontal lobe brain injury, which may have been brought on by fetal alcohol syndrome. A 3-judge panel of the 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals sided with Pye's attorneys in April of 2021, despite the federal court rejecting those claims. However, the full federal appeals court reheard the case and reversed the panel decision on October of 2022. Adams received 5 life prison sentences to be served consecutively. At the Jackson State Prison, Willie James Pye, 59 years old, was given an injection of the sedative pentobarbital and was later declared dead at 11:03 p.m. When the warden asked Pye if he had any last words, he replied that he didn't. He said that he would like a prayer said for him when suggested. Following a brief prayer, a clergy member asked God to grant Pye some grace and kindness. The medicines started flowing while Pye was entirely motionless. About half a dozen times he started to exhale quickly, making his lips tremble and his cheeks dimple every time. He soon stopped moving. The warden entered the death chamber a few minutes later and declared the time of death. 2 chicken sandwiches, 2 cheeseburgers, French fries, 2 bags of plain potato chips, and 2 lemon-lime sodas are said to have been Pye's last meal order. Before his execution, he received one last visit from his attorney, 6 family members, and a member of the clergy. 30 years after her mother's essay and murder, Yarbrough's oldest daughter, Tawana Bell, the oldest of her 3 children, said she found closure in Pye's death. Yarbrough's cousin, Jernita Starks, also spoke to the media, expressing her disappointment that Pye's death sentence was the main media title and that the victim, who Yarbrough's family believed should be remembered, was not receiving the same attention as Pye. There were 2 people scheduled for execution in April, Michael Smith in Oklahoma and Brian Dorsey in Missouri. Please hit that subscribe button if you like my channel. See you next time. Bye bye.